Wonderful. So are we back on, do we think?
It's just preparing to go live now, okay?
Awesome.
We're back on, everyone.
Hooray! Welcome back, everyone. Sorry about that slight technical glitch, but it's okay because we're back. Fantastic. So next up, we're going to have Suzanne reading a poem. Please, I'll let you introduce yourself, Suzanne.
The author is Yaser Nikzadh, who already read his poem in Farsi, and now I will read it in English. Traces. Yaser Nikzadh, 15, Panjshir Valley, Afghanistan, raised in Iran. Be next to me and see what has happened to me. It is over, the trace still in my heart. No room for me to sleep on this bus. Withered feet, the dream sunk into the eye. The police said, stop, go back, go back. All then in the train car, just me alone on the tracks. The rubber boat sank and my heart, hot for Europe, turned cold. The world slept. Only we were awake. Hungry, thirsty, tired. We left. It will be more difficult to return. All this tearing oneself up for a little bit of rest. Not my rest, the rest of my family.
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. That was a beautiful poem from Yaser and a beautiful reading from Suzanne. Great stuff. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Awesome. And then next up, just before we go to our break, Robbie is going to read another poem for us. Awesome. Thanks, Robbie.
Okay, happy to be a filler. This is a poem about difference, acceptance of difference. It's called 192 Miles with Carla. I put my signboard in the back seat and we tacked through the fleet of trucks in the parking lot and onto the hot open road. Where you going? She'd asked, lips and beef jerky. I'm Carla. Her jaw laid straight, softened in powder, she looked dry, her earrings swinging one-handed. Her face was smooth and pale, no hair, her colors borrowed from elsewhere. She smelled of meat and sweet freesias. Pleased to meet you, she said, her voice scrunching under wheels. You look like you need a ride and I need to hide myself from sleep, you see. She drove in bare feet. Hun, give me a cigarette, she pointed. I rummaged around and found a penis in a jar. Oh, right, she said, that's weird, I know. But that's the worst I have to show you. It used to be mine, she said. It's in a jar, I said. I had nowhere else to put it. Silent, we slid northwest. The sun, the color of a 2-bar heater, switched off and still warm, taking me back to distant days, huddled in layers of endless tea and jazz in my foggy room. The window's gap sucked on her cigarette, licking it clean of ash, blushing the tip. She smoked like she knew what she was about. The hairs on her left arm were vermilion, soon to be lost to the door's shadow. What are you going to do, Carla, when we get there? I recognized her expression. I'd once told my nana I'd lost a friend to a rival, and her eyes and mouth showed me there's worse to come, get used to it. Carla treated her hair like a sleepy toddler, slung this way and that, stroked and tolerated, but her eyes, hazel, were made for the haze of a long, long road. She seemed to have no edges. I'm throwing it from the Golden Gate, she said. I rested my hand on her shoulder, the strap of her top under my fingers. We drove into orange darkness. Thanks.
Thank you, Robbie. I think that's a really beautiful poem. Thank you so much. And thank you for the bonus poem. We're so lucky. Thank you. Okay, fantastic. So now, for everyone who's here, poets, and also everyone watching at home, we're going to go to a 5-minute break, well, a 7-minute break, until 8 o'clock. So everyone go and get yourself a drink, a cup of tea, whatever, and we'll come back at 8 for our second part of this event. And thank you so much for everyone who has shared their work so far. It's so awesome. I'm so moved by everything. Fantastic. Okay, so we will share a screen in a moment and you can turn your cameras off and everything, and we'll come back at 8. Thank you, guys. welcome back, welcome back. Hope you all had a nice break. Wonderful, okay. Thank you. Let us continue with this wonderful event. First off, before we go into the next round of poets, we had one person who was going to be taking part today, but unfortunately was unable, so has sent in a video of his poetry instead, which is awesome. So we're going to share that first, and then we will go back into the live poetry. His name is Richard Harries, so thank you, Richard, for sending this in for us. Wonderful.
Hello, I'm Richard Harries. I'm a Yorkshire poet. I appear in York a lot, and I'm signed to Stairwell Books, who are issuing my new book in 2021 called Awakening. There is evil in the world. There is evil in this world. There are those that caused the conflict, the murder, the rape in Syria, and they are not the only evil ones. Today, I saw the pictures of the toddler drowned trying to reach an idyllic Greek island, who had been abandoned by evil men in control of the boat he and his family were on. They are evil, but they are not the only evil ones. I was driving, listening to the Radio Humberside. It was not easy to stem the tears that the news made flow. Then I heard a text sent to the station, read out loud. Someone, presumably local, had said, while others had said their hearts bled, and that this would turn the tide in favour of the desperate folk fleeing to stay alive. This one person had texted, "Stop harping on about migrants. We don't care." There is great evil in this world, and some of it is here. Naked evil. In Ossett, the rain was pouring down. There was no pleasure staying there. We rushed to the car and thought of where to go. Birstall or Morley seemed the places most likely. And on the horizon we saw blue sky, so drove that way to escape the rain. As we went towards this lightness, it became apparent that to Morley we would go, our old hometown. And when we got there, it was sunny and dry, so off we went and had a coffee, then a walk round the town. Into a community charity shop we went. I saw an angel on a shelf behind the till, but could not get the attention of the shopkeeper. Was about to get annoyed when she started to cry. Stood still in shock. "Joe Cox has been shot," she said. She had the radio on, and it had just announced the murder of a well-loved local MP in the street in Birstall where we had nearly gone that afternoon. Her shock and trauma were complete. Then an old woman, also in the shop, snarled and shouted, "Immigrants again." I looked amazed and told her the radio had said it was a local man. "Nothing bad ever happened here till these immigrants came," said the evil old bag in a rage. "So the Yorkshire Ripper was foreign, was he? And the Black Panther too?" I said. She snarled and shouted, "You'll get yours, karma's coming to you for supporting and sympathising with these," spouting her evil and hate. She announced that when Brexit was voted in, we could get rid of all immigrants and then crime. I was shocked by the murder in a place so familiar and near, and shocked by the hate and unjust blame handed out, and saw evil, naked evil, looking so ordinary and so vile. How awful. How awful to be dead inside, to have no feeling, no love or concern for your fellow mankind. To not be moved by the sights and facts of war and death, of tragedy and devastation. Inside, just nothingness, blank, empty space where your heart and soul and guts should be. How awful indeed. And thank you very much indeed for including me in this lovely event. And I hope we make a difference.
Thank you so much, Richard, for being part of our event. Thank you for sending that video in. It's very powerful. Wonderful. Okay, so next we have Ellie. Now, Ellie isn't sure if her Wi-Fi will be up to scratch, so she has actually sent a video in as well, just in case she's not able to read her poem live, but hopefully she can. So take it away, Ellie, please. Thank you.
Hello. Can you all hear me okay?
You sound a little roboty, Ellie, but let's try, and then if not, we have your beautiful video. So. I don't think we can hear you quite right, Ellie.
This poem has a trigger warning. It's about a child who died.
Ellie, I think we'll go for your video instead because we can't hear your poem properly.
Article.
Sorry, thank you so much, but I heard that you said there was a trigger warning on it, so thank you for that. Okay, but we'll show your video instead. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for being here. Wonderful.
Sorry, everyone, just having some technical difficulties. If you could just move on to the next person, that would be good.
No problem, no problem. Okay, so next we have Tim. Thank you for being here with us, Tim. Can't wait to hear your poem. You're muted, Tim. We can't hear you. Unmute yourself and then we'll hear you.
Right, hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so I've got two short poems to read. It won't take more than 5 minutes. The first one I wrote specially about refugees. How many million more can we expect when all is barren south of Casablanca? How many grieving souls will strike out on the grueling trek, confident their answer dwells with Europe's wealth and fertile soil? Once all the wells are spent and crops are crisped and the very air you breathe's too hot to swallow, how many years must burn before you weigh despair and risk? Pack up your life and follow the flight of friends, aware there's no return. We sell up for whatever we can get and yield the larger portion to the man whose trade is organizing. Then, burdened down with sad regret, we execute our plan, attention fixed upon a new horizon. But working in the Canaan of the north, we find the climate fiery as at home. The flag wavers resent us, regardless how we prove our worth. We'll always be for them their whipping boys, a vent for volatile tempers. We hear down south the situation's worsened. Rivers fail and staple food crops shrivel. We take a cut in pay. They blame on surplus, jobless persons. The northern rains unravel and many million more are on the way. And the second one's a bit more cheerful. It's just on the general theme of belonging. I always think the place you belong, the place you call home, is where your loved ones are, and my loved one's my partner Robbie. So this is for Robbie. I've travelled in India twice in my life. First time on my own, and I went back 20 years later with Robbie. So this is about them. It's called Rooftop Terrace, Paharganj, which is the area in New Delhi where backpackers tend to hang out. Does it feel like coming home, she asks. She loves the rooftop terrace, though I've drifted off and she's nonplussed at what goes on behind my mask. I stayed in Paharganj before, this very spot, when travelling 20 years ago. The street is hostels, restaurants, English bookstalls. India, but not. I pick out in the throng of cabs and rickshaws a backpacker's scuttle to and fro, searching for a room. He's on his own, travel frayed and distant. Yes, I say, this is a coming home. I touch her hand. She smiles. I know instinctively that while our fingers bond, I'll never be alone. She shifts her gaze to watch the goings on and hubbub in the street below. I seek the man whose scurrying betrayed his loneness, but he's gone. If you want to hear any more of my poems or read any more, go to my website, which is birdbard.weebly.com. You can buy books. There's even a couple of free books you can download. And thanks for listening.
Awesome, Tim, thank you. And thank you so much for your two different poems. Really love the way you interpreted the theme. Thank you for writing a poem especially for us. I definitely think that is worth a donation if you are watching. Awesome, thank you. And I believe that our technical difficulty with the video has now been rectified. So let's hear from Ellie, Ellie's video.
Backer, a boy, maybe 14, maybe older. It's hard to tell in this place, with bright hopeful eyes on a face that knows too much, too young, only just a teen. Backer, a boy, a brother, only just a teen. A brother his smile beams, a brother his hands clasp, his fingers link, a secret greeting. Her brother. My brother, she says, she points, we laugh as he dons a fancy coat, too big for his young frame, too tailored for his teen taste. Her brother. Grandad, she says, she points, she laughs, and we laugh, and he laughs, the thought of being a grandad at 14. Still only a boy. Too young. Gentle, his face, living in his cousin's shadow, the one kicking tricks of a ball on the pitch he watches, standing on sidelines. Makes an occasional pass, not seeking the spotlight, but he's there, he's present, he's ready and hopeful for life, hoping for more than this place. Eyes on the ball, too much, too young, his face a boy. Shy in the shadows, idle eyes linger on littler limbs, the ones whose fists flail and flap, fists pounding on his back, fists pound on his back. Balanced on hip, a calm face, he lifts them away, shakes a head that says he can't play. Not today. Not with a child on hip, a toddler in hand, filling the figure of father, shoulders weighed down, fists pound, throwing building blocks of hope away. Shy in the shadows, but shining with strength, shining with the hope of a boy. And he puts on the coat to make his sister laugh. She laughs, we laugh, and he, her brother. He stood at the sideline, he watched, he waited, he always waited in that place. Waiting, waiting, waited. lived in his cousin's shadow, his face gentle, a brother's. He was there, he was present, he was ready. Hopeful for life. He was. And so from floor to hip to shoulder, fists pound on his back. Fists pounded on his back. Fists that said they couldn't play, not today. He lifted baby away from trouble, wishing someone would do the same for him. Wished someone would do the same for him. If only someone did the same for him. Backer, a boy, building blocks of hope, a brother, a carer standing on sidelines, a father figure, a cousin watching, a son waiting in the shadows, a friend, a child, shy, strong, her brother, only just a teen. My brother, she says, but he is silent. We are silent, and the silence pounds on her back. Silence pounding on her back. Not a granddad. He was a boy, maybe 14, maybe older. It was hard to tell in that place, with bright hopeful eyes on a face that knew not enough. Too young. Gentle, bright, died at the sidelines waiting. Died waiting at our border. Died at our border built of blocks, blocks built between bodies, blocks built to say you can't stay, you can't escape, blocks that play with the hope of a family, then throw it away. Dead at our border. Only just a teen, a child, not the first, not the last. Died in a place he never should have been. Waiting for life to begin. Still, his sister waits. Backer, we will always remember you. Backer, a boy.
Thank you, Ellie. That was really, really moving. Thank you. And I love the way you performed that. It was awesome. Thank you for sending your video in, and sorry about your Wi-Fi. But thank you, that was awesome. Okay, so next up we have Henry. Where's Henry? Take it
Hello.
away, Henry. Hi, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to read a couple first ones from my book. It's called Superman is a Refugee. I have the power. As a teenager, my main priority with adolescent evolution was an attempt to develop superhuman abilities. I used to try and stick to my bedroom wall, hold out my hand to summon energy bolts, or try and move things with my mind. It did not take me long to establish that I had not developed mutant powers. At school, I would imagine what it'd be like if Oakland Secondary School was Hogwarts with magic instead of design technology. Assuming genetics just gave me bad acne, a funny walk, and the inability to grow a proper beard, I settled on waiting for an irradiated animal, cosmic rays, or gamma radiation, because obviously they're all totally safe. So far, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for an elderly wise man to come and reveal my place in the master plan involving lightsabers, magic rings, a sword in some sort of stone, because obviously I must be important, right? So far, I'm still waiting. But I have a power with language. Whenever I go, my English tongue will be enough. When I travel, customs will never suspect that I am secretly a would-be world-conquering evil mastermind, despite the fact that most supervillains, like superheroes, are white men. In books, television, films, I see myself in the history books, the characters on television, the crew of films, the lawmakers, the statues. I see myself. No one has ever mistaken me for a bird or a plane. And for the record, I've always got onto planes willingly, but the ghost of Jimmy Mabenga doesn't need wings. I suspect everyone has a secret identity, but for the record, I've never had to outrun a locomotive or a bullet. But the ghost of John Charles de Menez is outpacing tube trains. I'm not a shapeshifter. No one will ever confuse or challenge my gender. I will probably never be the object of a song. I will never be the object of a joke. I will never be the subject of an insulting Channel 4 documentary, my big fat nerd punk poet wedding. And I pray the ghost of Vicky Thompson doesn't haunt her all-male prison. Because Superman is a refugee escaping destruction and seeking sanctuary. It's just a lucky coincidence he's from the western side of Krypton. And even if Batman's parents weren't murdered, he'd still be a billionaire using his wealth to hurt people with mental illness. And this may not be a super power, but it is the power of privilege. My career aspirations were always and still are pirate, ninja, and or dinosaur. But if I was pumped full of chemicals at the behest of my government to fight for truth, justice as a super soldier, I would petition my commanding officer to grant me the freedom not to wear my country's flag on my uniform. Because that flag appears on passport holders, the default settings for languages, hoodies, key rings, pencil sharpeners, teddy bears, border control uniforms, bombs, and the drones which drop them. And we're going to spend £1 million to paint that flag onto a plane. This is my second poem. Oh, that's from my collection. If you want to buy it off Etsy and you put in the comments when you buy it, it's a tenner that you bought it because you saw this live stream, then I'll donate £2 of that to Ray. This is my last poem. That's the poem. Wrote it a couple of years ago. Last night I dreamed Louise Michel was standing next to me. She raised aloft a flag and shouted, "Vive la liberté." I wanted to stand and fight beside her, but she was stood on the other side of a border. So I guess when I wake up, I should go to work as long as what I do doesn't cause you hurt. Now, some people get jobs locking humans into vans. Some people get jobs burning down the Calais camps. Some people get jobs abusing in detention centres. I know the human race can do so much better. Or eat your dreams, spit out the bones, hide inside your rented homes, give your health to the nightmare. At least you're a citizen of somewhere, salaries and sleepwalking. What's that language you're talking all these years, and what's the show? Eat your dreams, spit out the bones. And if you don't want dreams, we settle for nightmares. Last night I dreamed Louise Michel was standing next to me against the side of a shining sea. So build a wall and make it higher, build a life and make it harder. It's just another 9 to 5. Do what you do to survive. Green and pleasant gangrene cliffs, struggling for the extra pay slip. UKBA just following orders, red waters at the borders. And if you don't want dreams, we settle for nightmares. Last night I dreamed I was sitting beside the great sea, splashing with all of humanity. I wanted to reach out, a touch, but when I woke up, there was a body on the beach. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Thank you for being here. That was incredible. Thank you so much, Henry. And everyone, please buy Henry's book and donate to Ray. Awesome. Okay, so next up we have Jayne. Can't wait to hear it. Jayne, take it away.
Thanks, Verity. Thanks, Verity, for organising this, and Steffi and Amy, and thanks to Ray for all the wonderful work you do. So during lockdown, I've been watching lots of documentaries, and one of the documentaries I've been watching about is called The Museum of Water. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but basically, I don't know if you can see, the museum collects water, and the water comes from all across the world. And I just thought this really fitted with the theme of belonging, this idea that, you know, we have these vast oceans that divide us, but actually they bring us together as well. And in the museum, water sits alongside, it could be somebody's bathtub water sitting alongside something from the Mediterranean. So it's quite astounding, really. And you can check that out on YouTube. So here is my poem, and it's called The Museum of Water. Curated, there is always this question: what's in the bottle? The river, stream, naval matter, spittle. The custodian of sea archives the water, scooped from the sinking vessel. The water collected in olive drums from Guildford Road, from gutters and buckets. Some bottles have fish in them. The waterfall at Piney Lakes, for all 21 years of a life. DNA, breath, a record of the daily play. The breaking waters Ada Bell born into. How much water to wash yourself? My water is labelled 6th of June, day 75. My water is rain, pooled in the tarpaulin that covers his kayak in the backyard of our easy lives. Thank you.
Awesome, Jayne. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Jayne actually used to be a Ray volunteer as well. So it's extra special to have you here with us too. Thank you, Jayne. Okay, next we have Robina.
Robina, listen, I'm here. Okay. Hi, I'm Ruby, 19 years old from Afghanistan, and first I will read my poem in Dari, and after that I will read it in German. تعلق دارم من به تو با همه وجودم و فکرم. تو تنها جای امن هستی برای من. با هر بار به تو نگاه کردن غرق تو می شوم. گاهی در تو خود را گم می کنم، گاهی در تو خود را پیدا. بعضی وقت مانند تو که خورشید در تو می درخشد، من هم می درخشم. وقتی تو غمگینی و با من حرف میزنی، وقتی که با هم یک جا میباریم و در آخر من آرام میشم اما تو هنوز در دردی. تو همانی که مرا درس غرق شدن و زندگی کردن را آموختی، در هر کنج و کنار که باشم. تو همان هستی، صاف و روشن، آبی و سبز. من و تو همانیم که میمانیم، فقط کنج و کنار است در تغییر. تو آرامش منی با تمام همه ناآرامی ها. And now I will read it in German. Ich gehöre zu dir mit meinem ganzen Körper und meinen Gedanken. Dass ich aus dir komme, ist meine einzige Sicherheit. Jedes Mal, wenn ich dich ansehe, versinke ich in dir. Manchmal verliere ich mich in dir. Manchmal finde ich mich in dir. Manchmal, wenn die Sonne auf dich scheint, so scheine ich auch auf dich. Manchmal, wenn du traurig bist, sprichst du mit mir. Manchmal, wenn es bei dir regnet und bei mir die Tränen in die Augen steigen, werde ich am Ende ruhig und du leidest weiter. Du bist diejenige, die mich das Ertrinken und das Leben lehrte. Gleich an welchem Punkt ich stehe, bist du die Klarheit. Das Blaue des Himmels und das Grüne des Grases. Du und ich, wir sind diejenigen, die bleiben. Nur der Standort meines Seins ändert sich. Du gibst mir Ruhe trotzdem deines Aufgewühltseins. Dankeschön. Thank you very much.
Dankeschön. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much also.
Thank you. I love your delivery. Wonderful. Thank you. And next we have Richard. Take it away, Richard. Can't wait to hear.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me. This is a poem I wrote relatively recently, although it's set quite a long time ago in the past, and it's based on the experiences of a man I met. I was actually painting his house in mid Wales, and it starts off, an old man told me, and after I'd written it, I sort of thought he was probably actually only the age I am now, but I was about 19 or 20 at the time, so he seemed like an old man to me then, as I probably do to some of you. But anyway, here it is. An old man told me how he longed to return to his homeland. We all called him Stan. None of us could get our English-speaking tongues around all those Zs and clashing consonants. He left a young man, herded out by SS-badged uniforms, shouting a language she couldn't understand, vividly translated by jackboots and rifle butts. Through a finger-high panorama squeezed between the slats, he watched his childhood dreams slip away with the passing park, with the enchanting yet forbidden wood, the minnow-rich stream. He watched youth's lusts and hunger vanish with the dance halls and the street cafes. He watched his ambitions, hopes, and plans disappear as the town shrank from view until only the steeple remained, a pinprick on the horizon, blinking in the final flicker of the evening light. Through countless hours, he watched passing farms, forest, hills, and streams, sea of sunflowers. He watched stone-faced border guards. He watched strange towns with familiar names, Wien, Linz, Salzburg. He told me all this and more. He told me of the farm, the valley, and the hills. He told me of the swastika, the slavery, and the starvation. And he told me of the nighttime flight, days of desperation passed in undergrowth and abandoned barns, terror-filled nightly navigation of alpine passes, heading west, picking bilberries, the border, a final now or never, do or die, all or nothing, gasp for freedom. He told me all this over milky tea one afternoon. By now, hammer and sickle had replaced swastika. Fences and landmines cut a scar dividing his home from his homeland. But despite this, and despite cricket, cream teas, battered cod, despite Morecambe and Wise on the BBC, warm beer and Yorkshire pudding, despite all this, Stan still longed to go home. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. That was really moving.
Thanks.
Thank you for being with us today.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay, our next poet, we go to Prerana. Please take it away. Thank you so much, Prerana.
Hi guys, thanks for having me today. So I've got two poems for you. Both of them have something to do with belonging. The first one is about my experience as an international student in the UK, so growing up in two countries with multiple languages. And it's called Lost in Translation. You are the other they whisper about in literary theory class. Voices hitching like split matchsticks. You have campfires in your skin, and they look at you like they're running out of wood. You are reminded of primary school and how you colored countries different only on paper. But home says Hindi is the language you left behind, and you are too tight-lipped since that first plane ride. What use is a woman who cannot scream right? Here says Hindi is not your mother tongue because you learned it second. Your mother raised you in white dust. You are now Tesco's measly bottled chili powder with salt in the mix. You look one color but taste another. You are not your grandmother's hand-dried Kashmiri chili anymore. You remember how everybody ignored her blistered hands for weeks, but smiled as they sat down for her creamy fish curries. How your mother slipped away quietly to rub the aloe salve into her mother's swollen palms, fit tight in the bathroom at the back. You realize how acceptance is quiet collateral paid for in skin. How your mother raised you with a language of escape as your first. She had it too, but fell down a marriage carved well and there was no rabbit to get her out. So she named you Inspiration. so you could raise yourself out in her stead. And maybe you will always be wandering in airport spaces, by the tall windows that box in the night sky, in gaps between generations and countries where home falls into fissures and rises as ghosts every time they twist your name into syllables less. But girl, you are a violent thing with palms smeared gentle. How can you wash in 3 sets of fragrance and not come out like flowers? Maybe home will always be the letterbox slit to which your mother sends you red fish curry recipes. The breach in your throat, heavy corpses of Hindi syllables sank into gracefully, allowing a whiter language refuge. Maybe home will be the crack in your mother's front teeth that proudly sings how she pushed her daughter into a whiter, safer ocean when they came howling for her voice. And my second poem for you is just thinking about how relationships belong when you can't physically visit your family a lot. So, a lot of my family phone calls are over Skype and stuff. So this poem is about that. It's called Mama Forgets the Time Difference. Mama says, baby, tell me how you wake up. Mama forgets she is 5.5 hours ahead. Mama just calls me at 7 a.m., breathing heavy on the other end, her lungs pumping punctured rhythm into the balmy air. Mama says she learns to breathe this way to conserve heart energy. The morning sparrows sing chorus in the background. She whispers, you happy? Mama's breathing patterns spell, look, I wake up within 1 inch of my life, but she says nothing on the phone. I press the phone tight into my ear every time she calls, but I do not catch the stifled crunch of absent glass shards, the ruby throb of an opening blood bruise, or the fading hum of a scream after it has pumped the air. Here, this continent and ocean away, my sparrows nest snug and silent. I wake up, Mama. I made my coffee black. I fried eggs. I wake up. I do not tell her it is night here still. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so awesome. Thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you for being here with us. Okay, next we have Shazamir. So Shazamir previously read a poem on behalf of his friend, and now he is reading on behalf of himself. Is Shazamir ready, Suzanne? Awesome. Hi, Shazamir. Sorry, we're running a few minutes early.
Hi, I'm Shazamir. I'm from Afghanistan. I'm 19 years old, but now I'm living in Germany. I go to school here, play football. Yes, now I read a poem about my father. And, the poem is Without You. Living my life here without you is difficult, Father. I'm thirsty for your tears, and to cry here among these people is difficult, Father. When you stride there and walk over dawns, Father, I feel the pain of your feet. I wish to throw myself into your arms. To kiss you from this distance is difficult, Father. I would rip my lips off to do it, but to mourn without lips is difficult, Father. You are the most beautiful flower in a field of flowers. You are the color of the sun which bows at night. You shine like stars, my father, and your light as the moon. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much. So beautiful.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. And next up we have Lydia. I can't wait to hear it, Lydia. Take it away. Lydia, we can't hear you. I see you're unmuted, but can't hear you. I'll tell you what, Lydia, if we go to the next poet and then maybe you could see if you can get your mic working. Yeah, cool. Hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you. Rose, is that all right? Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. I'm going to be really naughty and try to do 3 poems, even though no one else has done that yet, so I apologize. The first 2 poems are about when, about almost 20 years ago now, about when my then boyfriend, now husband, Alan, was thrown out of America, and how people can find themselves not a refugee per se, but displaced really quickly without a lot of warning because his job vanished after the Twin Towers fell. So 2 poems about that. Season tickets. I'm pleased to renew our season tickets, front row seats, pure drama, the play offerings, divine, won by Moliere, adapted by a playwright we adore. And I will go with Emily and not you as you wait out exile in the tiny, icy room serving curry in an under-patronized restaurant, delivering food in the owner's beat-up car. I can't help but look at last year's schedule when you were still here. We saw The Old Settler, and later marveled in awed silence at the disintegration of Richard Dreyfuss. Before our eyes, the father and all my sons, who made too many errors of judgment and greed. Less than a week later, you climbed into your car for Canada, business visa in hand, determined to stay in status, stay legal, stay here. My child and I saw the final play, finishing the season, a musical comedy, practically American, panto, laughing and crying at once. It was uproarious. You would have loved it. You were homeless by then. Perhaps. I think perhaps if I wear the silver earrings you chose, you will sense it. Tomorrow, if I wear the shirt I know you love somehow, you'll know. Midnight here, so beer and poetry's just right, but there, it's 5 a.m. You stir, by now, reaching toward cool emptiness, early workers rushing by, car horns and morning gray. This is our day, and you're away. I think, perhaps, if I wear the silver dangling string of ovals you selected, somehow you will know. And then my third poem is a poem I wrote a while ago about someone that I heard on BBC Radio 4, and he was in Calais. This was back when we were firing water hoses at people who just needed to have a place to go. And what struck me is he had no last name. No last name. Cat Baru waits. He has only one name. He's left his village when life became unlivable to wait in Calais. He has no last name. A family name suggests a past. A family name presumes a future, suggests people will search for your story, remember your life, tell tales of your exploits to grandchildren. What is life? If it is one day to the next, a linger aside the smog of trucks they cough and wait to go to England. What is life but food, sleep, crap, and more of the same day on day? Who needs to be remembered for this? Cat Baru does. Perhaps his voice is like angels, the sweetest of nightingales, or his hands. They can build anything. His house, his tables, his bed, or he weeds, or he teaches, or he treats the young with particular care. Do we care? Or do we just dam up the tunnel, forget we ever craved truffles, bar the gate? Look, people must go somewhere. We can watch Big Brother celebrity dancing and believe otherwise. Cat Baru waits. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome, Rose. Thank you. And thank you for doing 3 poems. We love 3 poems. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I just want to let everyone know that's in the Zoom call right now that maybe can't hear, see the YouTube comments, that you're getting a lot of love in the YouTube comments. And so thank you everyone that's watching at home for giving so much love in the comments. And if you haven't already, please click the Just Giving link and donate to Ray. Awesome, thank you. Okay, Lydia, are you ready? Have you maybe fixed your microphone? Let's see. Still can't hear you. Could you maybe try logging out and logging back in? We'll let you back in. I can't hear you. Okay, we'll see if she comes back. Okay, fantastic. In which case we'll go to Anthony. So we're a bit early for you, Anthony. Is that okay?
That's all right. Thank you for having me.
Awesome,
hello, everybody. I've got 2 poems for you, and the first one was written very far away from home. I was teaching in Devon for a week, and it was very shortly after my son was born, and it was just weird being away from home and away from all the things that made me feel like I was me. So here it is. It's called It Has Rained All Week. It has rained all week, and you've set down the things you have to say of love and home and of your baby boy, and shut your book and put your pen away. And outside nothing is but green and grey, so wet with rain that it must never dry. It's later than you thought, and what remains but this, to walk out past the raspberry canes barefoot, to drop your sweater on the lawn, to cast off everything along the lane, wade into open country and the rain, and at the tree line turn but once to look at where you've come from, if you will, then back into the nearer birch and farther oak, and know your skin is stiffening with bark or bristling with fur. The wood is dark, and all you know of love and all of pain is falling from you. All you know is rain. And the second poem is one that was written in the early days of the lockdown. And it was inspired by me setting up this temporary office space where I've been working from home for a little while. This is the spare bedroom. And every morning for the first few weeks, I could hear my son, who is now 9, doing the Joe Wicks online workout downstairs. And we have bare floorboards downstairs. So all you could hear was a kind of a half an hour between 9 and 9:30 every morning while I was trying to get my head into being at work. And it was just awful. Son has subsequently given up the online workout, and I and my wife do it every morning while he lies on the sofa taking the piss. Anyhow, so this is a poem from a couple of months ago. Online workout. Our son has commandeered the living room and closed the door against us for this work that daily he can't bear to have us watch. And from the spare room's makeshift desk, or halfway up the stairs with toast and tea, we hear another of his lonely days begin. The drub and clobber of his naked feet against the floorboards, drowning out the news, or worse, the new and awful quietness. His little limbs obediently beat a pulse, defying something through our house, the sound resounding further than he knows. Thank you. Thank you all for having me, and well done, Refugee Action York.
Thank you for being here. That was awesome, Anthony. Thank you so much. So great. Amazing. Shall we try and go back to Lydia? I see.
One more try?
It's working, hooray. Oh, I'm so pleased. Great stuff. Okay, take it away.
Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. Okay, so I'm Lydia Weinberger, and this first poem is kind of how I found belonging in a community that hasn't always claimed me, but has kind of opened its arms to me at this point in my life. And yeah, I'll just start. In all major Jewish sects, the child is labeled by the mother, defers to matrilineal descent. Shiksa is a dominant trait. And my father was not my mother, so I'm not Jewish. Except for when I was 17, when on the way to an after party, a boy spit the word kike at me, said I and my people should swing from a tree. The 3 other boys in the car sat silent. Stomach churning, with cookies I baked for them in my lap. I didn't know how to do anything other than stay silent too. Telling my father the story when he comes to pick me up early is one of the few times I hear him utter ill about another person. See his brows dig down in anger, see his typical humor lie dead in his throat. I am not Jewish, except for when I was 18 and I crouched down to pick up a drop dollar, and my friend called me a dirty Jew. At first, I did not recognize the slur until the girl sitting with us recoils, as though she was being burnt, as though it was her ancestors who had been burnt. I do not process a betrayal fully until the friendship ends a year later, wondered why was calling me that his first instinct. Why was mine to forgive him? I don't tell my father this time. I'm not allowed to be Jewish, except for when people hate me, except for when their worldview does not allow me to be anything else. My blood is too dilute to be recognized as anything else. Last year, I wore a kippah for the first time, and I liked it. I am memorizing the prayers of Shabbat, familiarizing with the hollow beat of a fist against my chest as I repent, learning how to recite the mourner's Kaddish for those I have never met, who find their bodies interrupted by bullets and machetes. I went to New York, and my grandfather was petrified for me and the lanky Jewish boy I love. I wanted to reassure him, tell him I had taken the opt-out, had learned how to let my blue eyes protect me. Instead, I bake challah for Shabbat dinner every Friday. Say, if they kill me, let them know that I was my father's daughter, that I was born, but I also chose this, because my father was not my mother, but I am more than blood or recognition, more than matrilineal, a Jew by choice. I am a Jew. Thank you.
Incredible, Lydia. Thank you so much. So glad you got your microphone working. It was so worth it. Thank you. Okay. We only have one poet left. If you're at home and you're watching and you think all of this work is as beautiful as I do, please donate to Refugee Action York via the link. Awesome. Okay, so next up, the final poet is Ali. Are you ready, Ali? Running a few minutes early, so no worries.
Okay. Hello, I am Ali. I'm from Syria, and I will now of Arabic reading. Ich kann wirklich bei Englisch. Okay. سكونها يغرقني بالحب، أوراقها تتجمع حولي، تقفو على وجهي، معها صدري ريش حمام، صورتها في خيوط مخيلتي ترمرم ما أسقط في الفناء الغريب. إني أعود للسكون معك يا حبيبتي. And now I will reading of Germany. Ihre Stille ertränkt mich mit Liebe. Deine Blätter ranken sich mich herum. Ihre Blätter liegen sich auf mein Gesicht und schlafen ein. Mit ihr wird mein Poster zu Taubenfedern. Ihre Bild ist im Strom meiner Gedanken. Sie lassen wieder auferstehen, was in einem unbekannten Hof fallen gelassen wurde. Ich gehe wieder zu still, zurück mit dir, mein Kissen. I'm now finished. Thank you very much for your watching. Yes.
Awesome, Ali. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our poetry festival. Amazing. Thank you so much to all of the poets that have taken part. I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that I could listen to hours more of your work. It was incredible. You're all so talented. I absolutely love the way that everyone interpreted the theme of belonging. Just incredible, such a privilege. If you're watching this at home, please do donate to Refugee Action York. Ray, such an incredible charity local to York. And thank you all of us, both at home and here, for celebrating Refugee Week with us. We are so privileged and happy that you were here with us, and thank you so much for taking part in our event. Incredible stuff. Amazing. Thank you. And goodbye. Good night.
Thank you.